kick off the program. Perfect. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. I'm Vicki Palmer, AURP CEO, and excited to share our next Community Pulse webinar with our network. On our next slide, you can see a variety of our AURP members, both institutional and our corporate service providers that help make up the network. And we really do run a breadth of membership opportunities. We have our research parks, research science and tech parks, our innovation districts, our federal and national labs, and tech hubs, as well as the service providers that support the development of these communities. And if you can go to the next slide, Shelby. Great. So we just had a economic impact survey results being shared among our membership. There's a QR code there, but there's some really great economic impact statements that are coming out of that and really showing the power of our parks. And on the next slide, Shelby, you can see that we're estimating about 2.5 million jobs are coming out of research parks, almost $300 or $300 billion, excuse me, in GDP, and $33 billion in federal taxes that are supporting our economic development throughout North America. So on our next Community Pulse, I just wanted to give a little shout out to our friends from Fraunhofer USA. They're going to be talking about a model for entrepreneurship, their Carbon to Value Initiative program, which is going to be very interesting, and not just about that model overall or the program overall, but about this entrepreneurship model that's been very successful. Started, I believe, earlier this year or last year with their first cohort, and they're moving into 2 cohorts next year. So that'll be really exciting to see. And as we've been talking about just amongst ourselves before we started up, we have our annual conference coming up in November, and we have some friends that are going to be speaking among our community on this webinar today. So we'd love to see you there. Registration's still open, and again, the countdown is on, so we hope to see you soon. So I'm going to turn this over to Brian Darmondy, our Chief Strategy Officer and colleague formerly with the University of Maryland College Park, and he's going to start out our webinar. Thank you.
Thanks, Vicki. Next slide. So one of the things AURP did back in 2024, the SBA has something called the Growth Accelerator Fund Competition. And they solicited opportunities from people across the U.S. To support entrepreneurship in different categories. And one of them was rural communities. So, AURP, we represent research parks in urban, suburban, and rural communities. We have a lot of land-grant universities as members. So we put together something called AURP RAIN, the Rural Autonomous Innovation Network, to try to support entrepreneurs that are working in autonomous technologies coming out of our university research parks and incubators. And, we give an award each year, and one of the awards a couple years earlier was to a precision agriculture startup that came out of the University of Illinois Research Park that reduced the amount of pesticides because it was autonomous and it could do things that a human centered tractor couldn't. So with that, Shelby, next slide. So we to put together this Rural Autonomous Innovation Network, we reached out to a lot of our members across the US. And you can see their logos at the bottom of them of the slide, including things like the Federal Lab Consortium, UIDP, the UAS Angel Network. But one of them was MIT Venture Mentoring Service. And I had met colleagues from that, over the years at different conferences, and I thought they would be a good partner with our RAIN initiative. And so you're going to hear, our message is building communities of innovation. So you're going to hear how MIT Venture Mentoring Service has worked to support entrepreneurs, not just from MIT, but across the country. And, and that's really, I think, how we build communities of innovation. We reach out to our partners. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to Jim, and he's going to talk a little bit about MIT Venture Mentoring Service, 25 years of mentoring entrepreneurs. So Jim.
Thank you very much, Brian. That's a great context to put it in. And hopefully over the next few minutes, I'll give you a little more background about what a venture mentoring service is, what we've learned over 25 years, and how we work with people, not only and organizations, not only across the US, but around the world. So if we move to the next slide. If we go back now almost over 25 years, Venture Mentoring Service was the brainchild of a couple of members of the MIT community who were entrepreneurs themselves, and they were looking at the then rapid growth of entrepreneurism at MIT and identified some needs in support for that entrepreneurism and specifically for the entrepreneurs. And they proposed an organization, a program that supported entrepreneurs through a free, confidential, and unconflicted business advice organization that was staffed essentially by volunteer business mentors who had a wide range of experience over the years. If we move to the next slide. So this is a bit more detail of the timeline, so you can see as support was garnered within the MIT community. They took some time with other support to develop an organizational framework and guiding principles, which I'll talk about in a minute, and formally launched in January of 2000 on a modest scale to sort of test out and explore how this organization could work to support entrepreneurism within the MIT community. Over the next 6 years, leadership was established. The VMS mentoring model was established and fine-tuned, and in fact continues to be fine-tuned even to today. Jerome Smith, who's the director of part of our co-director of VMS, has been part of this program going back almost to its beginning. And I, on the other hand, have been involved for 4 years as a mentor after having been involved in other parts of the MIT community that funneled into venture mentoring service. So the program has built from an initial cohort of maybe 10 or 15 mentors to now over 200, and we'll talk about some statistics with that. As the program became more and more known and successful, like a lot of programs in any of our organizations, but particularly within universities, when success creates a lot of interest, and people come and want to learn, well, how can we learn to do that? Which led to the development of the outreach program in 2006, which I will also talk about in a second. That's how we reach out across the country and across the world to other organizations and duplicate our model. And then in 2014, NSF I-Corps came to MIT with us first as a participant organization. That's evolved over time, and now MIT leads the New England regional hub of 8 universities and growing in spreading I-Corps as an important tool, one of many tools that's very complementary with the VMS mentoring model. Next slide. So, thank you. So this is really the key of what of the principles and the model that go into what we believe has made MIT VMS successful for so long. There is a strict code of guiding principles and code of ethics that all of the more than 200 mentors adhere to and agree that this is a role that they are taking as a volunteer solely to give back, solely to contribute to entrepreneurship in our community without any benefit back to them, without taking roles with startups, without using a mentoring relationship as something that might lead to benefit for them, so that our entrepreneurs can know that they can rely on the advice that they're getting from their mentors as unconflicted, unbiased, not without opinions, but a variety of opinions that they can learn and use to help them grow. The mentoring model is that when an entrepreneur is accepted into the program, he or she is actually assigned a team of mentors. So if I look at the MIT community, and I've been involved in various aspects of MIT for about 20 years, there are lots of opportunities to receive advice and to receive mentoring. But VMS is the only one and is quite unique outside of MIT in providing a team mentoring methodology where an entrepreneur can receive a variety of opinions, and in fact, those mentors will play off against one another in discussing issues through their mentoring sessions with their entrepreneurs. VMS has worked very hard over the years to create a community of qualified mentors with a variety of backgrounds and who are really quite committed. And that the efforts to create that community and keep people interested is quite diverse. I don't have time today to talk about all of those, but it really leads to an organization where there are many mentors like Jerome, who's on the call with me, who have been involved for 10 and 15 and 20 years as a mentor, as well as attracting new mentors coming in. The program, VMS as a service, focuses on developing entrepreneurs first and foremost, as well as the ventures that they're trying to honcho. We do that in a way because we know that there's a lot to teach them. Often they're very early stage. There's a lot to teach them, and although the first venture that they choose to pursue may not be successful, and the odds may very well be against them, if they have a positive experience and learn from their mentoring team, they will come back and use the service again as they pursue their serial entrepreneurship. The focus is the mentoring focus is very practically oriented, more short-term than long-term. Mentoring sessions focus on an agenda of the current questions and issues that a venture needs to be working on, providing a variety of things for them, potential answers or solutions or avenues for them to pursue, for them to consider and go away. It's advice. It's certainly not dictatorial anyway, and it's teaching entrepreneurs how to make decisions themselves, which is how they will be successful. And last but not least, there's sort of a formal operational format that allows the organization to operate efficiently. It allows the venture mentoring service as an administrative organization to take the administrative burden off of mentors, so the mentors can focus on the topics at hand and not get dragged down into administrivia. And it also allows the organization to continually improve by getting feedback from mentors and mentees alike as to how things are going, what's working well, and what may be done better. Next slide. So this is a bit of sort of organizational detail. We are part of the provost office at MIT, and as such have an educational mission. We are not an accredited course or anything like that, but fall under the goals of teaching members of the MIT community who want to pursue an entrepreneurial path some of the skills that they need to succeed in the business world. We have chosen to focus on MIT affiliated entrepreneurs, not beyond that in the community, just because of the high volume that we already have with that. It would be almost impossible for us to expand in our current environment. You can see on the right the breakdown a bit of who we are mentoring. Almost half are alumni, and a good part of the other half are graduate students, undergraduates, postdocs, who are often the ones who are taking technologies out, or ideas, not necessarily technologies, out of the university, out of and trying to create successful businesses with them. Interestingly enough, there's a small sliver that you may or may not be able to read for faculty, because faculty in general, although they may be involved with startups and lend their support to startups, are generally not leaving the university to start companies. They're staying around. We are very much business agnostic. So the sector, whether there's technology, high tech, low tech, no tech, the stage of the venture is we are agnostic to. We don't care. We will accept the vast majority of our ventures are very early stage. They can be for-profit, nonprofit, aiming at making a social impact in society. They are so early stage that often they have an idea and not a company yet, and not even an idea of how to make a company. We help them start that foundation, help them think through, is it a decent idea, and what other tools like iCore should they use to test that. So intentionally, we have very broad acceptance criteria, and along with that goes a fairly high turnover. Many of our entrepreneurs are successful, and if they're not, as I said before, if they're not successful the first time, we hope they'll come back since they've been bitten by the entrepreneurship bug with their second idea or their third idea. The other unique aspect of VMS amongst other organizations that give advice at MIT is that it's a long-term commitment, and VMS is willing to support an individual entrepreneur however long he or she finds that they're getting value from it. Other advisory roles are generally time-bound, having to do with a grant of some sort or some educational program. And although it's a little bit of an overstatement, we talk about mentoring for life, and many of our entrepreneurs will work with us for 5 years or much more. Next slide. These are some statistics at a glance. You can look at them and you'll have access to the slides if you want to dive more into them. One of the ones we are working at any given time with over 300 active ventures, and there are more than 200 entrepreneurs. So each of us are working with more than one venture usually. And as I said before, we're working in teams together. To me, one of the interesting statistics here is on the right-hand side, which is a bit of an estimate of the number of volunteer hours per year. And if you think of the economic value that represents, you know, in terms of the value of this free advice that is going to entrepreneurs, it's quite powerful. Next slide, please. So I mentioned the outreach program through which we assist organizations and train organizations around the world to create their own mentoring program based on the learnings of 25 years plus now of MIT VMS. It is a license and train and support model where the organizations that go through this program have access to a lot of the tools that we use that we've developed over a period of time to give them a head start on many of the aspects they would otherwise have to develop themselves. There's a 2.5-day intensive training program, mostly done in person in Cambridge, where the team that's going to be responsible for running and managing their mentoring program comes and goes through a combination of a curriculum and a customization of the program for each training session. And then there's ongoing support in a multiple ways, both as initial follow-up to a training program, as well as long beyond, and a cohort of organizations, we call them sister organizations, that we've trained that share information in a variety of different ways, some of which we catalyze and some are done between them. As I said, there is it's sort of a core curriculum, but also a very optimized, an ability to optimize a program for each. We train one organization at a time, so we can focus on what their issues are, what their environment is, and what's similar to what we've done, and how we can help them with issues that may be unique to their environment. The model has applied to universities, economic development organizations, incubators, accelerators, a wide range, and been successfully implemented, as we said, sort of around the world, at organizations that have very different environments, very different missions, very different stakeholders, and we help to customize to meet those needs. Next slide. We work very closely beforehand with organizations to make sure that that they're taking into account all of the aspects that are important, we think, in making a successful transition of our model into their location, as to how well the VMS model that I outlined fits in their environment, in their culture, with the kinds of both mentees and mentors that they would be working with and the organization. It's a single program implementation where a single organization is not only trained, but is responsible for the implementation and growth in their location. There is a certain amount of infrastructure and sustainability that's considered to make sure that a program is on a strong foundation when it begins and as it starts to build. there are certain minimal leadership not requirements, but recommendations that we have in terms of having at least a part-time person taking a broader view as a director, and very importantly, another part-time person when you're starting small as an operations function who knows all of the details, all of the mentors, all of the mentees, all of the details of what's going on. Next slide. And this is a list of a variety of discretionary factors that are part of that customization that we do to try to make sure that the model as we've developed can translate well to an individual environment. I won't go through each of these, but there are operational concerns. There are concerns about the mentor composition, what the organization needs what's expected of the organization in terms of who they're going to serve in the way of mentees. Next slide. So this is just a map of the 136 organizations that we've trained to date. You can see they're in lots of different regions, lots of different cultures, it's been successfully implemented in a variety of different conditions around the states and internationally. Next slide. So with that, I'll stop. I want to thank AURP for making this opportunity available and for the hard work done by the staff to make it happen. I'm happy to take questions and certainly happy when we run out of time to field any other interest and have a more detailed description than the time allowed today.
So Jim, I have a question.
Sure.
Great overview. So with your outreach program, did I read that right? You only have enough bandwidth to do one cohort, one organization at a time? And are you currently working with a group? And I guess my second question is, then assuming somebody signed up for that, do they have access to the MIT volunteers, or who's mentoring the startups from, let's say, Oklahoma City wants to sign up? Like who would be the people advising those startups?
Sure, thank you. So we work with the limited bandwidth on our end is that we do training once a month for one organization at a time, so that we can customize the learning and the application of what we've learned to an individual constituency, essentially.
Yeah.
So we're not limited in terms of how many organizations that we can have, just how many we can train at a given time. And the training includes a wide range of topics, as you might expect, including how to choose your own mentors from your own community, from your own environment, because they are going to best serve the entrepreneurs that you're serving from your, who will also be from your environment. So we actually do offer also training of mentors, but and presumably part of that is training of trainers, so that we sort of recommend that a program start with what we call a pilot, where there might be 5 to 10 entrepreneurs and 10 to 20 mentors, so to start modestly, That also requires modest infrastructure. And then we help to train those mentors so that the program can get up and running locally.
Since they're all volunteers, what is the time commitment that you tell your mentors to expect when they join in?
So in general, we like to well, what we tell our mentors is that we would like them to be involved at least one equivalent day a month. So when you think of that includes maybe a couple of mentoring sessions if they're on a few teams. It involves a monthly mentor meeting that we have, which is one of the vehicles to try to create a vibrant mentor community that likes to hang out with one another and learn from one another, and maybe some bandwidth to be involved in some other kinds of opportunities or more mentoring sessions. So that's something that we feel we've learned is a reasonable balance for mentors, whether they are retired or still actively working, whatever their requirements, whatever their other obligations are, that they can manage a minimum of 8 hours a month to do a variety of different kinds of things.
Well, and Jim, one last question. The cost, I guess, is negotiated. It's kind of customized, I assume, or how what is
No,
the
the cost is set. The program, which, as I said, is a license, train, and ongoing support model, costs $45,000 for all of that, which is taking advantage of the 25-year history and learning that MIT has and all of the materials that go with it. There are other programs that we have for training. The one that we recommend the most is that, as I mentioned earlier, I think we can come to your site to train the first cohort of mentors, and presumably a train the trainer kind of thing, which we can package at a modest discount with the basic training fee for what we call our immersion program, which gets in. The immersion program itself, it probably bears mentioning a little bit, is quite diverse. In 2.5 days, it includes a curriculum of important information on a variety of topics, but it also is sort of experiential in that over that period of time, the people who are being trained, who will be running the program locally, get an opportunity to meet with MIT mentors, with MIT mentees or entrepreneurs, with the management of our program, with the operations group from our program, with one of our sister organizations who's been trained similarly and has gone through the transition of learning from us and then building it and growing it locally. They get to experience a mentoring session remotely, and so there's and our monthly mentor-only meeting to get a sense for how we communicate with our mentors and create the strong mentor community that stays involved with us for a long period of time. Any other questions?
Well, if anyone does, we have your email.
Right. Right. Yep.
Yeah.
I appreciate everybody taking the time and showing the interest in hearing a little snippet of what it is we do. And as Brian said, we'd be very happy to engage in a dialogue so you can learn more and ask questions that come from your particular environment and will be most meaningful to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.